All right, today we're going to be doing a full deep dive into Federalist No. 2, written by John Jay, published on October 31st of 1787 under the pen name of Publius. Now, if you've ever wondered why the founders were so relentless about the Union, why they were so concerned about foreign influence, and why they believed a fractured America would be an easy target, Federalist 2 is one of the clearest explanations you'll ever hear. Because Jay is not just making a sentimental argument like, we should stick together because it feels nice. He's making a strategic argument. The survival of the American experiment depends on unity, and foreign powers will exploit division. So I'm going to walk you through the historical moment Jay's writing in, what problem Federalist 2 is trying to solve, Jay's core claims, step by step, what he means by foreign force and influence, and why this paper still matters today, especially if you care about liberty, sovereignty, and the long-term security of the Republic, which is the right to keep and bear arms is a big part of there. My series on the Federalist Papers is designed to reconnect Americans with the actual words, warnings, and intentions of the founders at the time when constitutional meaning is routinely distorted or ignored. These essays were not abstract philosophy. They were written to persuade, to explain limits on power, and to reassure a skeptical public that liberty would survive only if government was carefully restrained. By breaking down these writings in plain language, this series shows why concepts like separation of powers, federalism, and armed citizenry, and checks on centralized authority were seen as essential safeguards against tyranny. Understanding what the founders wrote and why they wrote it is critical for any American who wants to intelligently defend the Constitution today, especially as we approach the 250th anniversary of the Republic they fought to establish. So please watch all of these videos, I made a playlist for you, and share them so that we can teach others what the founders so desperately wanted us to understand. Federalist 2 is written during the ratification fight over the new United States Constitution. The country is operating under the Articles of Confederation, which created a weak, centralized framework, states cooperating but not truly unified in the way the Constitution proposed. And the big question is simple, but enormous. Are we going to be one nation, capable of acting like one nation, or are we going to drift into separate, competing federacies, different alliances, different trade rules, different security priorities, and all the instability that comes with that? Jay begins by saying Americans are being asked to decide one of the most important questions they will ever face, and therefore they must take a very comprehensive as well as a very serious view of it. In other words, don't think about this emotionally, and don't think about it narrowly. Think about the long game. Now, the title tells you the mission, concerning dangers from foreign force and influence. Jay's main point is that if America is not united, if the states splinter into rival blocs, then two things become far more likely. Foreign force, actual military pressure, coercion, conflict, war, and foreign influence, manipulation, corruption, alliances that pull us into foreign priorities, and leverage over American decision-making. Sounds like something we're dealing with today, doesn't it? And Jay is saying, if you want peace, security, and independence, you need a government capable of acting as a nation, not as a loose collection of states that can be played against each other. And one of the most famous parts of Federalist 2 is Jay's argument that America is almost designed for unity. He talks about geography and how the country is connected by shared coastlines, navigable waters, and interior access, and the general reality that the states aren't isolated islands. They're physically linked. They touch each other. Jay frames this as more than convenience. He suggests it's almost fate or providence that the land itself points toward union. Now, whether you take the religious tone literally or not, the practical point is strong. If a country is geographically integrated, it is strategically foolish to govern it as though it's a patchwork of unrelated territories, because the consequences of separation will still hit everyone. Trade conflicts hit everyone, security threats hit everyone, border disputes hit everyone, and foreign meddling definitely hits everyone. Jay makes another major claim in Federalist 2 that Americans are not merely neighbors, they are one people in important ways. He points to shared language, shared customs, shared political experience, shared victory in the Revolution, and shared sacrifice. Some of those shared issues are things that America doesn't share anymore. And yes, Jay's language here reflects his time, and he's painting with broad strokes. But the ratification error, the purpose, is clear. The anti-federalists argued the states were too different to be one nation, but Jay's pushing back. The states have differences, but they have far more in common than the opposition admits, and that shared identity makes union realistic, not fantasy. What Jay is really doing is building a foundation. If Americans view themselves as one people, they will be less likely to accept the idea of permanent separation and more likely to support a national framework strong enough to resist outside pressure. Jay includes a subtle but important claim. He suggests that belief in union was widely accepted until lately, was his quote, and that political actors were now pushing division. Now, this is a powerful rhetorical move by Jay. This is a powerful rhetorical move by Jay. He's telling the reader that division is not the natural state of the American people. It's a political project. Are we being divided right now by the politicians? Yes. So what Jay is talking about is still happening today. And if it's a political project, you should ask who benefits. Because historically, when a country fractures internally, there are always outside players ready to exploit it. And here's where Jay's argument gets very real. He's warning that if America breaks into regional confederacies, say a Northern Bloc, Southern Bloc, Mid-Atlantic Bloc, then instead of cooperating, those blocs will begin competing. And once you get competition, you get trade disputes, tariff wars, boundary disputes, maritime disputes, competing foreign alliances, arms buildups, and eventually conflict. Now, Jay's point is not that Americans are uniquely evil. It's that human nature plus incentives produce predictable outcomes. Separate governments pursue separate interests, and separate interests collide. Collision creates instability, and instability invites foreign meddling. Now let's drill deep into the foreign influence, because Jay is ahead of his time here. Foreign influence doesn't always look like an invasion. It often looks like favorable trade deals for one region to create resentment in another, or political alliances that benefit one bloc and weaken the other, or debt leverage, or access to ports and shipping lanes, diplomatic recognition games, funding and backing preferred factions. And when a country is divided, foreign powers don't have to beat it in a fair fight. They can do what empires have always done. Just divide and manage. Now, Jay's core message is a united national government reduces the ability of foreign powers to pick off pieces of America while targeted pressure, rather. And Jay also contrasts two moments. The earlier period where the country had to improvise in wartime conditions, and the Constitutional Convention where delegates could deliberate more calmly with experience behind them. He praises the convention's members as serious men acting out of duty and love of country. Now, again, you can debate the perfection of any group of politicians for sure. But Jay's point is that the proposed Constitution was not rushed out as a panic document. It was built after years of failures under the Articles, after seeing what doesn't work, and after realizing that national survival requires something sturdier. Even if you don't live and breathe 1787 history, Federalist No. matters today because it addresses a timeless problem. How does a free people stay free in a world full of competing powers? Now, Jay's answer is not, give the central government unlimited authority. His answer is, you need enough national unity to prevent foreign coercion and internal rivalry from collapsing the experiment. Pause right there. Do you see any issues with that right now? Do you see national unity? Do you see foreign coercion? Do you see internal rivalry from a collapsing experiment? Well, here's the key. Jay is arguing that disunion is not neutral. Disunion doesn't simply mean more local control. Disunion means more vulnerability, more conflict and dependency, because foreign powers exploit fragmentation. So, Federalist No. is, at its heart, a warning. If Americans treat unity like an optional accessory, they will eventually pay for it in security, independence, and stability. Now, let me connect this to liberty broadly. A people that cannot defend its independence will eventually be pressured into compromises, politically, economically, and culturally. And Jay is telling you that unity is not the enemy of freedom. In many cases, unity is the precondition for maintaining freedom because it's what blocks foreign force and foreign manipulation. Now, that doesn't mean unlimited federal power. It means the basic capacity to act like a nation in matters where national survival is on the line. And we're seeing it right now. So that's Federalist No. 2, John Jay's case that union is America's strategic shield against foreign force, against foreign influence, and against the internal rivalries that always emerge when a country fractures. If you want, in the next video, we'll continue this chain. Now, in the next couple of videos, I'm going to continue this chain of going over the Federalist Papers because Federalist 3 and 4 pick up this same type of theme and expand it even further. Now, if you got value out of this breakdown, make sure that you are subscribed to Guns and Gadgets and let me know in the comments. Do you want more Federalist Paper deep dives like this, or should we focus on unicorns and rainbows? Guys, I love each and every single one of you. Thank you for allowing me to do this deep dive historical series. The Federalist Papers. It's something every American should know, and sadly, we have several generations now that don't even know what they are. So, watch these videos and share them. Help educate our fellow Americans so that we can stop the internal divide, so that we can increase unity, and we can increase individual liberty and freedom. Thank you all. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.